Hi folks, this is Deepak Sharma from Capital Mind. What just happened? A new series of posts coming once in a while to you about what happened in the day. The top 5 things on 30th May 2016. We include things like the Tata Motors results, the Subros fire, changes in Gurgaon circle rates, and so on. The first top thing that happened today was about Tata Motors' awesome results. We've seen profits more than double. In fact, they've gone from 1,700 crores to about 5,100 crores. They've had a couple of one-time items. I'm going to run through a few of them if we can check this out. Here you go. So we've got a bunch of interesting things in the results. The numbers are something that you can look at, but the press release talks about a fairly good increase in the sales of both local commercial passenger vehicles and also in export. So they have been able to do a substantial increase, and I'm going to go through some of their consolidated results. They've done 80,000 crores versus 67,000 crores, very strong. They've had a consolidated profit before an exceptional item, we'll come to that, of 5,900 crores versus 2,900 crores. And we've got a fairly strong quarter consolidated profit after tax of about 5,177 crores. They've had a 1,580 crore cost for an industry-wide recall of potential faulty airbags by Takata. So some of their cars had Takata airbags. They had to recall these cars. Some of them are one-time charges. Some of them are one-time provisions. We'll see some of those provisions reversed in later quarters, but they've taken a hit of 1,580 crores in this quarter. They've also had a recovery of about 555 crores on account of the Taijin port explosion insurance. So they had recorded about 2,900 crores in the September quarter, of which they got about 300 crores back as insurance in December quarter, and now they've in the March quarter had another 555. That's about 855. So they still have about 1,600 to 1,700 crores remaining as provisions on their books, which they could recover if the insurance pays up. If the insurance says no, well, they'll have to take the hit. They've already taken that hit. So there's only positives going forward. This is awesome. The stock has already gone up quite a bit. So if you see the stock chart, we're looking at a breakout of this little high that they've made in November 2016, and which was retried at earlier in April 2016. So November 2015 and April 2016, if it breaks out of this high, it's got a pretty nice little external position to a MACD crossover to boot. So technically also looking good. Fundamentally, the stock looks, the results look awesome. That's probably the best thing of the day. But the bad part of it was in another auto company, Maruti had to shut down its operations because there was a fire in a plant in Subros. Subros makes air conditioning systems for automotive companies. They supply to a number of manufacturers. The Manesar Maruti plant, which was close by, saw an impact because the Subros plant had a pretty major fire. But the stock recovered by the end of the day. So we saw something, if you look at Subros. So here you go, Subros. And Subros, the stock opened substantially lower at about 77.3 after closing quite weak the previous day. Even then, I mean, weak was relative, so it was at 92, but it came down to 77, recovered back to 88. So there's been a bit of a recovery in the day. However, I think there's going to be a lot more to come about this news, how much of the equipment was damaged. They have 5 plants, 2 more in Noida, I think one in a couple of plants in about another state. So they'll be able to shift production across. We'll just have to see how much inventory was damaged in this fire. Uh, Going forward, there's another interesting happening thing in Gurgaon, close to Manesar, back to Haryana, where prices have crashed below their circle rate. So a circle rate is essentially what the government tells you have to register your property at this rate. So if it's 50 lakh rupees, then you have to register your property at 50 lakh rupees. You cannot even tell the government you sold it at 45. The government says no, no, you have to pay tax on 50. you have to actually pay income tax if you're selling at 50 as well, even if you received only 45. What's happened is because of the rise in real estate rates, real estate prices, the government has usually been slow to raise the circle rate. So the price was 75 lakhs, the circle rate would have been 50 lakhs. Uh, Over time, the government circle rates catch up, so they become 75 lakhs. Now, if the prices fall, they fall back to 60. People complain that, listen, we can't register a property at 75. I can't pay you tax on 75 because I've received only 60. And I mean, the price is only 60 lakhs, so transactions come down. When transactions come down, there's lack of registrations, there's much lower tax revenue. The government sees this and says, okay, well, can we reduce the rates? Maybe we can establish better techniques here. What happens usually is people take powers of attorney instead of registering a property as a sale. Now, this is a problem because the government receives no revenue when there's a power of attorney. You just give a power of attorney to somebody else and say, listen, I've sold this to you. I'll just give you my power of attorney to say, when you sell it to somebody else, you represent me instead. So this is what the government wants to stop, such leakage, and say, well, we'll cut the revenue circle rates by about 15% because prices have fallen. We understand that. Obviously, there's more to this, and typically prices like circle rates are cut when things are quite desperate. So expect a lot more damage in Gurgaon before things stabilize. A little more, at least government has been proactive over there. That's a good thing. India needs to pay Iran a ton of money. Now, we've been buying oil from them. We've not been paying them. One of the reasons why we haven't is because you couldn't pay them. The Americans covered up the entire banking system and said, if you deal with Iran, we're going to cut you off from the world banking system. None of our banks could pay Iran. None of our oil companies, which took oil from Iran, could pay Iran. Iran was happy to give us the oil, but was obviously unhappy to not receive any money for it. Now that they're back in the Indian banking or the world banking system, they're saying, well, listen, you owe us money, pay us back. $6.5 billion dollars is what we need to pay them. We've paid them about 770 million euros. So that's about what, about 800, $900 million. We still need to pay them about $5.5 billion. We haven't paid them since 2013. So now what the oil ministry said is, listen, we've got to pay now. So RBI says, listen, if you take $5.5 billion, this is going to cause a serious problem in the rupee. Rupee trades about $2-3 billion of delivery a day. So if you do $5.5 billion in one day, you will kind of ruin the whole rupee dollar equation. So they've said, listen, pay over 3 months and a max of $500 million a week. That reduces the pressure on the rupee, and it's likely that the RBI itself will participate in the secondary market to provide the additional liquidity it requires. So it's got a ton of dollars, about $345 billion sitting on its own balance sheet. So it may be able to say, listen, if there's a lot of pressure, we'll just sell the rupees, sell the dollars from our kitty and then take the rupees instead. So it won't do that directly with the oil companies, but it will do that in the secondary market. This is an interesting development because it's going to keep the pressure on the rupee from rising. If there's a lot of forex inflow, it might actually get absorbed by this dollar buying by corporate oil refiners who have to use that to pay Iran. Nifty is done about 4%, 4.2% in May, guys. This is the best month of the year. We've got about 5 months down. We're about 2.9% up from the beginning of the year. This is a good start to 2015. However, it was a bad thing to say sell in May and go away, because if you sold in May, you lost 4.2%. Well, it's the second best month of the year after 10% month. It's pretty interesting because if you look at 4.2% in May this year, it took 10 years ago. What happened in 2006 was a minus 13% month. This was when the Reliance Petroleum IPO came out, and then a lot of liquidity was sucked out of the market. The market crashed substantial amount over the next it kind of crashed the most in May and then recovered a little bit in June and July. So we've got a 13% fall. So a 10-year growth looks very, very good now. It's about 10% now from 10 years ago. But watch what happens after that. You've seen a continuous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 month continuous rise in the Nifty. So going forward, if we don't rise like that, our 10-year returns are going to look lousy. It's just a 10% right now pre-dividends, or you can say 2% dividend a year, so about 12%. But we've got to watch out. If we start following some of the old things that say hold for 10 years, you'll always make money, might not really be the answer. That's the end of this day's happenings. We love you to visit us and subscribe. Come to capitalmind.in/subscribe. Our premium content comes in your inbox. Our proprietary Snap data platform is available as well. We hope you enjoyed this. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks and enjoy the rest of the day.